All right, so we are live and unmuted. It is 8 o'clock. We're going to go ahead and call the regular meeting on June 3rd, 2020 to order at 8 a.m. Can we do a roll call?
Nick?
Here?
Sue?
Present.
Mike?
Mike?
Yep, I'm here.
I was looking at our 12-year-old firefighters.
Do you want me to start with her?
Just, you can do it anyway. Doesn't
Okay.
matter. Yeah. Roll call done. We're going to forego the Pledge of Allegiance, but we will have a moment of silence for meditation or prayer prior to the start of the meeting. All right. Go ahead and get started with announcements and correspondences. Sue Fields, do you have any announcements or correspondences?
No, I don't.
Okay. Mike Kosinski, any announcements or correspondences?
Dave, that Dave Smith called me again last night to check on Estes, his water issue. Do you hear me, Dave? Hello.
Yeah, he hears you. He's writing something down.
Okay. Yeah, he just wondered if there was any update on that. Apparently, there's some street signs that were put up with garbage bags over them, and he thought maybe that meant you were coming down, or
You got to unmute, Dave.
you're.
Hit your mute button.
Hello.
Yeah, that signs and stuff are for the chip and seal job.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to go down there and look at his problem?
No, not yet. I got the county. They are looking to see if we have easements and stuff like he was talking about. So we're
really-
working on it.
It's not him, it's us. Go ahead, Dave.
I've talked to the county and stuff. I haven't had a chance to get down to see him. So
I
they're-
thought you said that you're going to check with the county. So
Yeah.
whenever an update, would you let me know so I can, relay it to Dave? Or you can.
Right. Right. Yeah, we're working on it.
Yeah, I know you are. Just okay. He just got all excited when he saw the signs. So, thank you. That's all I had.
All right. I just had a couple announcements. First, I think we're okay now. First, I want to make an announcement. I just want to thank Rochelle, our administrative secretary. For Memorial Day, we normally have an event at Wetzel Cemetery, but because of COVID, we were unable to do that. And she headed up the project to release the Memorial Day video as kind of a celebration and a remembrance on Memorial Day. If you haven't had a chance to take that out, it's still up on our Facebook page. And it turned out really good. And so she headed up that project, and I think she just deserves some recognition for that project for our community.
Very good.
The next one, I want to just recognize Pastor Wetzel from Victory Baptist Temple. Many of you that attend the meetings know he often comes to these meetings, and he's actually the one who opens meetings in prayer for us often. But behind the scenes, he does a lot for the township too, especially for the administrative staff here. And he's always just sending kind words and recognizing and just trying to encourage us through leadership, and it's really appreciated. And sometimes those silent pieces aren't recognized.
Right.
And I just wanted to say, he's an important part of our community, and he does so much great work, and he's just really an encouragement to all of us. Lastly, I wanted to bring this to the board as an idea under the announcements and correspondences. I've talked with John. He is on board with this. I've talked to Suffield and Ritztown. They are interested. As many of you know, we are currently in the census. They've extended the census deadline till, I believe, the end of October. But census is really important. That is what determines our funding and our representation. And right now we're at about 78% have completed that. So we still,
I thought it was 73.
or maybe it's 73, and Suffield was at 78.
I think Suffield 78.
Yeah,
I
I
might
got
be
the
wrong.
message in there somewhere. But anyway, so we are a little bit higher than 10 years ago, but we still have some ways to go. And so I talked with Suffield, I talked with Ritztown, I talked with John to see where he was, because I knew we would be here for the meeting. And we want to do a little competition between the three townships. And whatever township comes in at the highest percentage of submitted applications, the other two townships boards would collectively between themselves or through donations $250 to donate to the charity of that township's choice. So we donated a total of $500 to a charity of the choice of the township that has the highest participation. So just a little friendly competition between us and Suffield and Ritztown. I'll officially draw something up and send that out if our board would be interested in participating.
Very interesting. I've talked to some people and for some reason they're afraid to be counted.
Right.
And just told them, I tried to explain it. We all have to explain it.
Right. Well, I think this just encourages us to put some extra videos out and talk to a few extra people. And there's nothing wrong with a little friendly competition with our neighbors, right?
I mean, you see cities do it all the time, so.
Yeah. So I just wanted to see if our board was interested. If so,
I like the idea.
right. I'll draft up something official and then I'll email it out to everyone.
Okay.
And then I think then we'll get Ritztown and Suffield to officially accept our challenge to have the highest rating, and then we'll go from there.
Right. Good. Great idea.
All right. Yeah, I'm kind of excited about that. So that's all I had under announcements, correspondences. Be looking for something in the next week or so. Suffield and Ritztown, you'll be getting some notice about that too. We do not have any planned meeting guests today, so we'll forego that. And meeting minutes. I did have a chance to review those. Can we get a motion to accept?
I'm going to
May
make a
20?
motion that we accept the minutes.
Second.
All right. Any discussion on those?
No.
All right. Roll call.
Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Sue.
Yes.
Agenda. I need a motion to accept the agenda.
So moved.
Need a second?
I will second it. Just for discussion, it's sort of, when you just have this, it's sort of hard to,
Right.
you know, just so that when we get to the point we start listing it again, because when we do have guests back in the room, they don't understand what everything is.
Yeah, just the C report extra items.
Yeah, so, I mean, I understand that just, putting them together right now, but let's try to do it the right way.
Okay.
I mean, not that we're doing it the wrong way,
Right.
Yeah.
Just to have more
for the
information.
benefit of our
Okay.
guests.
All right. Anything else? Is
We'll
there
have to-
any additions?
we'll vote.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if anybody had anything to add. From department heads, do you have anything that you need to add to the agenda that changed?
No.
All right, seeing a bunch of no's. All right, can we get a roll call?
Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Sue.
Yes.
All right. Purchase orders, I reviewed those this morning, so I'll make a motion to accept the purchase orders. We need a second.
And I will second those.
All right, any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Sue.
Yes.
Warrants. Can you get a motion for the
I
warrants?
will make a motion that we have reviewed and sign the warrants.
Second.
Any discussion on the warrants?
No.
Hearing none, all in favor, roll call.
Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Sue.
Yes.
We're in public comments and questions. Has anybody submitted to the board members public comments or questions they want to discuss today?
No.
No? Right. All right, hearing none, we'll move on. Any safety concerns from department heads or the board?
I just want to say to Dave Ruffner out on Cherrywood, there was a resident that contacted me about, we had so much rain and her front yard was just nothing but mud and tire tracks and all that. And I just really appreciate Dave. She's a happy camper. And your guys took a grader out there and smoothed up that whole edge of her driveway that was in the part that was ours. Thank you.
Hey, I just have one quick announcement, which we probably should do. Since a lot of people are still, locked up in their homes, not getting out as much, that on Facebook, somebody has created a new page, which is called Brimfield Suffield History.
Yes, I've been following that. That's an amazing fun
Very,
page.
very interesting. For any of you that don't know the history, which, I don't know that much, and I guess I'm one of the older trustees, Sue and I, but it's amazing the stuff you can learn about Brimfield.
Yeah.
And the old pictures and all that stuff. So I encourage everyone to go to the Brimfield Suffield History, right? Is that what
Yeah, I
it is?
believe that's what's called, yeah.
Very, very good page. You're gonna learn a lot of stuff. And I did see a post about the arm getting blown off the statue. So we should put a reward, because somebody out there in somebody's garage or
And
barn
got that arm.
has that arm. So
I also found it interesting, and I already put the bug in Craig's ear in the fire department. They used to do fish fries in the fire
Yeah.
department. I was like, that'd be fun. Maybe we do a throwback to that
well,
one year.
there was fish and beer, I think.
Right. Well, we'll do the fish fry.
But couldn't we get like an updated statue, like get one of those Luke Skywalker arms to put on the, he could be holding a lightsaber.
We can make it mechanical so we just wave.
Okay.
All right, so a little fun this morning. All right, hearing no other safety concerns, we will move into department reports. Chief Mosley, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Nick. Just a couple of items for you guys this morning. Our community paper shredding event is going to be taking place here shortly on Wednesday, June 10th. That'll be for a 2-hour window from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. over at the police department parking lot. People can just drive through. They don't need to get out of their cars. We'll have volunteers there from our staff and from Hometown Bank and RJ Auto Pros to unload the paper and have that shredded. So that's coming up on Wednesday the 10th. Also wanted to pass along some information to you guys, our officers, and I enclosed a copy of an email I received from Barbara Hawley, who's the principal at Brimfield Elementary. Our officers assisted their staff last week with a drive-by parade for all their students leaving elementary school this year. They had about 30 or 40 cars in that caravan, and we had about 3 of our cruisers out assisting them with that. So that was a really good event. Our officers had a good time with that, and I wanted to share with you the email that Barbara had passed along to us, thanking us for the assistance we provided to all their staff that day for that event. Wanted to make the board aware, just Officer Brian Neiman, he's a member of the U.S. Army Reserves. Brian's going to be getting, he's going to be getting deployed. He just got notice here within the last week, so he's going to be getting deployed at the end of the year. So he will be gone pretty much all of 2021 from our department. So as much as I wanted to take advantage of getting an extra officer, that's not going to take place because we're going to lose him for the better part of next year on a deployment. Also wanted to make the board aware our server and PC project is in progress. Brian's been helping us out, obviously taking the bulk of the work with that project with Captain Atkins. So that's in progress now. A ballpark time frame for completion of that, I would say, will be roughly 3 weeks, give or take, depending upon what might happen with Brian or any changes that come up. So I'm going to give a rough time frame of about 3 weeks or so. Last item I have for you is as a follow-up to the last board meeting we had. We had some discussion about Sandy Lake and the posted speed limit out there. We did follow up on that. I do have the speed trailer deployed out there now. And once that deployment's done, I'll follow back up with you with some data and information. So that's all I have for you this morning, unless you have any questions for me.
Hey, Chief, are we seeing any requests from our department to assist with other departments related to the protest? Are we sending out officers, or has it been pretty non-effective to us right now?
Yeah, so far we haven't had any requests from that. I haven't received any communications, haven't come through the county chiefs for sharing of staff on anything like that. I know Ravenna had a group a couple of days ago, as well as Kent. Neither one of those agencies reached out to through the county chiefs and asking for assistance on that. So far, none of that. We've had a deployment or an activation of Metro SWAT. They were put on standby to go to Akron a few days ago. But other than that, we haven't received any specific requests within our county.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Thank you, I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All right, any other questions? Nope. All right, hearing none, we will move on to fire departments. Chief Mullally, the floor is yours.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I got an actual, so just wondering. Just a couple updates for you guys. New guys that we hired started on Monday. Both of them, hit the ground running. We also completed our fire prevention lieutenant process and have decided on a promotional person for that. And that person will be Connor Sessions. He obviously is a current member of our fire department. He'll start around August 1st for that. So that will get us up to speed on all the positions we had to fill this year. Second thing, our fire station admin building is winding down to the final stages with the architect drawings and price point. At some point here in the near future, I'm hoping within the next month, we'll be able to sit down and discuss and present to you guys what they came up with. I will say again, Moody Nolan has been working on this project, and I'm thrilled with them. They've been excellent to work with. Do you have any questions on those two things?
It's under admin.
Mm-hmm.
All right, no questions at this time on that.
Okay, so with that, the only thing I have for administration then is I need a board approval for the Moody Nolan architectural fees. We talked about this back in March, and for some reason we must not have got it put into the files, but I know we approved this. But just for record's sake, I need to approve again the total cost of $38,675 for the project, and that was already previously discussed and put in place with the fiscal office.
So we need a motion on the floor for Moody Nolan at a cost of $38,675.
Yeah, I shall move on that.
Okay, we need a second on that.
I will second that.
All right, for discussion, I remember discussing this, and I believe that we did talk about approving it. We just didn't get in the meeting minutes for some reason, so it's just a formality. Any other questions on it? All right, can we get a roll call vote?
Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Sue.
Yes,
All right, motion passes.
And that's all I have. Unless you guys have questions.
Nothing else under admin?
No.
All right, hearing nothing else, we'll move on to the next department, zoning. Mike Ladd, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Our virtual BZA meeting will be June 17th. The agenda, legal notice are completed, letters mailed, added to the website. There's 5 conditional uses and 6 variance applications. We have several emails coming in daily from residents regarding some of the variances. Walden Point is on the BZA for expansion. That's a Ryan Home subdivision as well. Variances are being sought from a distance of 35 feet between houses to 15. So that's causing a lot of our resident complaints. Prescott Pike is on the BZA for another phase. This is another one with conditional use and 2 variances being requested. Same thing, the distance is supposed to be 35 feet between those homes. They're looking to go to 15 feet, and that as well is causing a lot of letters and emails that will be noted into the minutes of the meeting. Pride 1, Prescott Pike, Redwood is still under construction. Sunnyhills Villa over here on Talmadge Road is scheduled to expand. There was a lawsuit years ago. There's a lot of legal paperwork that backs the apartments up. They were allowed to expand, although their zoning certificate has expired, so they're going to the BZA for a conditional use, just a renewal, basically. So they will be moving forward if you see some activity out there. Hemling Excavating is nearing completion of their site work. I've dealt with the fencing company, been out there numerous times, and we're getting that to close. Comprehensive land use plan, we're working on the current zoning map and coordinating the plan with Todd. Had virtual meetings with Todd, and we are going to have another one, set one up with Board of Trustees next to give you a status. 5 Below at Cascade still under construction. And a prosecutor is preparing letters and search warrants for 1435 Talmadge Road. I'll be following up Friday and copying everybody on that email. Brett is working hard now to get letters out. I know he sent a lot of notices out from his office before we take people to court. We're trying to, put a little bit of scare into them, let the prosecutor send a little notices, and we did see some people clean up. Our permit fee report totals $64,535, and that concludes my report unless there's some questions.
Yeah, Mike, the Sunnyhills Villa, are they just adding 1 building?
2 buildings right now is what they're proposing into the front.
In the front?
Yeah, and the setbacks are all good. There was a court case years ago where they weren't allowed zoning wise to build those apartments. But after it went to court, they were allowed to. So they did provide me all the paperwork from that court case. The only thing is it was so long ago and they haven't had any activity. The zoning certificate expired, so they need to go back and get that reapproved.
And what about possible more businesses moving into town? Has that started picking up again, or is it still sort of lagging behind?
Yes, Yes, I talked to a developer yesterday who has Tom Shaw's property under contract. I believe, Sue, he talked to you first and you referred him to me, that Paul DeJurio. Very good guy. He built the Cascades years ago. Mike, he mentioned your name and said he dealt with you in the past. He did lock in Tom Shaw's property. And we'll be coming forward with some activity with that.
Where's that at?
That is the mattress place, and there's an auto repair place there, right next to RJ's.
Right. Well, they're good developers, you know that.
Yes.
Developers.
Yeah, we have a lot of, after talking for a good hour with him last evening, we have a lot of mutual friends that we didn't know about, so it was good talking to him.
He's very community oriented too, so.
Yeah. We dealt with him and you know, when I worked in Macedonia, and then once I was commissioner in Cuyahoga Heights, he actually lived near me. So it small world. So
it's encouraging.
Hey, Mike, under the virtual BZA on June 17th, can you just walk us through this real quick? If citizens have questions or want to make comments, those are to be in writing to you by what date so that they'll be read at the meeting?
I don't have that in front of me. I was 3 days prior to the hearing, so it should be the 14th, but I'd like to have everything wrapped up by the 13th. If everybody could please provide anything in writing to me, and then Jendi will read it into the minutes so that the board hears it and everybody knows everybody's concerns. It might be a lengthy meeting, depending on how many more letters we get, where we're going to have to read them in. But if you have any comments, please send them in to me. And everything's online to view. So all of the variances and the drawings are online on our website.
Also, Mike, I know that there was an email that we had to be notified as some of our properties are touching this. So, you know, obviously there's an impact to the township properties.
Yes.
I think we need to make sure that we check with Mark Gaddetti to see who can speak on behalf of the township if there was going to be comments. I wouldn't want all the township employees from different divisions talking or submitting a letter, or if they even can. They can as private citizens, that's fine, but I just want to make sure that comments made from the township are through Mark Gaddetti and that he approves, you know, who's making those comments.
Sure.
So
we're gonna have Mark for our first BZA meeting virtual this way, just to make sure everything goes good, as well as the first zoning commission. After that, we won't need him at the meetings, but I did want Mark in on the first one because there's a lot of people for and against this, and of course people are unhappy about the virtual meeting. They like to attend in person, but that's just not going to happen with the amount of people we have. So,
right. Yeah, I just want to make sure with our property that we ensure that we also have the right people making the right comments. Just, you know, from a legality standpoint, private citizens they can. But
sure.
Do we have any other questions for zoning at this time?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Hearing none, we're going to move on to road department. Dave, you are up.
Morning, everybody. Just wanted to let you know we've been out trying to do some road mowing. As we talked earlier, the chip and seal project is getting ready to start. It's going to start June 8th. That's why all the signs are going up everywhere. We're getting the roads ready for chip and seal. We've been doing some berming and some patching. That way they're ready to go. And just to let you know, right now the weather's been slowing all these processes down. Yeah, and that's all I got for a report.
All right. Any questions or comments for the road department? Nope. All right. Hearing none, we'll move on to Parks and Rec. Cassie, the floor is yours.
Hi. I have a quick informational piece. I would like to give a shout out to Assistant Fire Chief Ron Goodspeed and Dave Rufner for their assistance in saving some baby ducks yesterday from a storm drain, and they are in the Record Courier today, and they were also on Fox News last night. So thank you for doing that. Nice to see some good news. So my first item is the baseball field. So last meeting we talked about reopening the baseball field and also baseball field renovations. So I wanted to give you some updates on that. I had a Dave and I had a meeting with Lewis Landscaping last week, and field renovation should hopefully begin this week. I'm waiting to hear back from him. And he said that it'll most likely continue until mid-June. So, and then I have a few comments from the coaches that have contacted me regarding reopening the fields. And they just wanted to let the board know that they have notified all the parents, all the coaches have been notified of the CDC guidelines, and they are going to make sure that all of the guidelines are followed if the field is to be reopened. So I just want to pass that along to the board. I've also been in contact with Chad Murdoch regarding our liability as far as opening the field. And he has written up a waiver form that I have printed out for you that we would be using should we choose to reopen the field. And I know Nick had suggested that we add a line about potentially closing the field should there be any violations or citations from the health department. And then, so then I would like to request a motion to, my recommendation based on all of my findings is that I would like to reopen the baseball fields. I think at this time, with this waiver in place, that we would be able to do that. And but that would be affected by the field work that is going to be done. So we just have to get a timeline on that first.
So for discussion, let's get a motion on.
I'll make a motion that we reopen the baseball fields. We need a date.
Effective upon completion of
Okay.
work. Okay. I will second that for discussion. I'll kind of give a quick update of where I was at on some things because I made some phone calls to the health department because there were some questions related to funerals too. So we had a lengthy discussion with the health department. So the health department's response specifically to baseball was that they could not answer that question, that legal counsel would have to give us advice on how citations would be issued because they're under an order from the prosecutor's office to not answer that question at this time as they're working through that. I did reach out to the prosecutor's office to Brett. I asked him to get us information before today's meeting because the person who was handling that part of the prosecutor's office was on vacation. I have not received an email as of this morning, so we did not get an update from the prosecutor's office. The health department did allude, and this is just in conversations, not written down anywhere, that citations, if they were issued, would not be citations initially. What they want to do is just have an educational moment with the team and the community if there was violations seen there. That's kind of the direction that they're pushing people towards, but that's not official. They said you would have to follow up with the prosecutor's office for official comments on that. So just to kind of take that into consideration, that's why I wanted to add the language into the waiver. I know we do have it in our normal agreement that we can, stop the use of the parks at any time based on their actions and not following the rules. But COVID is its own separate set of rules that we don't manage. So I think we should be specific to that if there's violations from the health department, that we reserve the right to cancel the rest of their reservations and retain that money. We would not refund their money to them. Okay. Other comments on that or questions for Cassie?
Well, since they're going to be doing work, they're going to do renovation, so that it may continue until mid-June. We want to hold this till the next meeting so the prosecutor's opinion could come in and be part of it too.
I don't know how much of an opinion they're going to give us, because really the only question to him was, who would you cite for this? What was the question on the floor? And I mean, I'd like to see the teams be able to start at least forming a plan of playing, and if they could reserve now, they could start scheduling some things.
I know, my one concern, I mean, so you know how all these people come to view it. So we're basically telling them that
they have to manage it all. We're putting it onto the coaches.
I mean, they can't be right next to each other. I mean, that's something they're gonna have to do themselves. Right. Common sense.
Well, and remember, one motion is good as the next. If we see that this turns ugly, right, and we start to get complaints from the health department, we can at any time reserve the right to close the fields back down.
But as to restrooms, that's their responsibility.
Yeah.
So our restrooms have sanitizers in them, right?
They do, yeah.
Okay.
And Dave has been spraying them down daily with sanitizer.
Very good.
Yeah, because remember Craig came up with that system to
Right.
fog the ambulances, and then we started fogging Dave's equipment. Now we're just fogging the restrooms down there.
Okay. Well, I mean, we can't tell people what to do. I mean,
Well,
we
I
can
mean-
suggest and,
Yeah, I mean, I think people are adults and they have to make adult decisions, both the parents and the coaches. As long as we're protecting the township as best as we can, I think I would add that language to this waiver, Cassie, would be my suggestion. And beyond that, then we just watch it and monitor it. And if Cassie starts seeing problems, I mean, we can always hold an emergency meeting if needed too. If we're seeing this
Right.
turn into
That's
a problem.
Yeah.
Can we, are you getting any requests for tournaments or is it just all local teams?
So I haven't gotten any requests for tournaments yet. I don't know. Oh, that's for soccer, never mind. Yeah, I haven't gotten it. It just seems like it's mostly practices and games.
Okay.
So that might be a different issue.
Yeah, if you get a tournament question, I would pencil them in, but maybe we need to have a discussion about tournaments because I think it just brings a lot of people into more
Right.
problems.
Okay.
How many tournament requests we would get there with a single field, but it's worth just monitoring.
it's, I mean, sometimes when they have tournaments, I mean, they're parked all way back to Dave's salt bins.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, when you get requests, do they request them as tournaments or just?
No, they usually just book dates, so I can specifically request what type of event it is and maybe an estimate of how many people they think will be attending.
Right, I mean, I agree with Nick. I think, one or, two teams playing each other is a lot different than 10 teams in there for a tournament.
Agreed.
So, yeah, we definitely need to watch that a little bit.
So the motion on the floor right now is to reopen the fields for rentals, effective completion of renovation of that field, our annual renovation work, and that they would need to sign the waiver, warning and disclaimer, the COVID-19 warning and disclaimer waiver. Is there any
Now,
other?
while we're discussing, who signs it? Both coaches or?
Whoever's renting is going to be responsible
Okay.
for the field.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions on that?
Yeah.
Just my thoughts is, I mean, maybe whoever signs that needs to give a copy of that to both the coaches, so they can't come back to us and say they weren't aware,
Or maybe can we post this disclaimer notice down there too, along with the COVID rules and our parks rules? Just
Yes,
so that-
I have the COVID rules posted already, anticipation that people would be playing without a reservation. But yeah, I can definitely post this as well.
Just so it's
Right.
known, it's public out there.
Okay,
All
very
right.
good.
All right, roll call.
Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Sue.
Yes.
All right. Baseball fields are going to be rentable again. Cassie will set that date based upon the completion of the work at the field.
All right. My next item is the soccer field. So skills training for contact sports is now permitted, but this does not include games, scrimmages, or tournaments. So for soccer, it's a little bit different. So similarly, I'd like to request that we reopen the soccer fields to skills training, should they be rented.
So I'll make a motion to open the soccer fields
Second.
for discussion. We're going to do the same thing, same rental agreement, same COVID disclaimer.
Yes, I will have to have Chad revise it. I did read over it, and this is only specific to the baseball and softball requirements. I will just have him add a line or possibly make a different form for specifically for soccer. And then also put something in there that says only for skills training, not for games, scrimmages, or tournaments.
Okay. Any other questions? Roll call vote?
Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Sue.
Yes.
All right, soccer fields are open back up.
Good. Okay, an update on the community center and pavilion rentals. I believe it was late last week, they announced that the ban on gatherings of 10 or more will be extended through July 1st, so that so the cancellations for the community center and pavilion rentals will continue until that order is lifted. It's just not possible to police that with those rentals, so. And then my next item is Messner Acres, or the Klein Road Park signage. I'm working on getting some signage put up there so that people know that it is township property and it will become a future park site. So I have included, oh, I skipped ahead a little bit. Western Reserve Land Conservancy has offered us a free sign along with installation. And it says just conserved property by Western Reserve Land Conservancy. It's a very nice sign. There's a similar sign on Talmadge Road, right on the corner of Talmadge and 43 at the house there, if you've seen it. It's the same sign. So they're going to come out. I'm going to work with Mike Ladd to position that sign so it's in a good spot. And then I've also included a copy of a draft sign for the park that says future park site. So this would be a temporary sign that would be up, just letting people know that it will eventually become a park. So I wanted approval from the board to make that sign and put it up at the park.
I will make that motion.
I will second that motion. Any discussion on the sign? Anything you'd like to see changed, edited?
Looks good.
Looks good to me.
Shouldn't we have a picture of Dick Messner on there?
We could.
Could we just make our logo just a little bit bigger at the top, possibly?
Oh, yeah.
And that out a little bit.
Yep. Now, now that we're moving this forward, I mean, what have you, well, I guess we're still just discussing. Have you thought any thoughts about creating a parking lot or at least a staging area?
Yeah, I have. I've been meaning to get out there and walk around. There is kind of a natural area where a parking lot would be, and I'm happy to walk the park if anybody ever wants to go out. But there is an area where there was already some asphalt grindings and gravel there, which I've talked to the Western Reserve Land Conservancy. I walked the property with Shane last year, and he said that it would be fine to put a parking lot there. Since the area is already kind of disturbed, we wouldn't be doing any additional disturbances to the property. So that's something that we would look into before opening this park.
I mean, I'd be interested in seeing it again. It's been a long time. I mean, should we have her set up a little walkabout for us?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to go back out and walk at some point.
You want to set up a walkabout?
Yep, absolutely.
With
Whenever
all
you
these-
guys want to go.
With all these road projects, should we be trying to save some of these grindings and put them over in that parking area now, just to start to designate that? Dave, is that something we could coordinate?
They'd probably have to dump it here since there's not really a cleared site to dump there. So I was planning on getting a lot of the grindings from the projects and having them all piled up here.
Okay.
But Dave, that area that Cassie's talking about where there are some grindings, I mean, you don't think you can get a truck in there to dump?
Well, I don't know if I want to send their tandem trucks into that area. Because if somebody gets stuck, well then I'd rather have them dumped here than haul with the smaller trucks.
Okay.
But so we're going to save those grindings so we could start to use those down there, part of that if we chose to.
Yes.
Okay. Just
Yep.
looking for cheap ways to do that.
You know, I was talking to Cassie because we went and walked over at the Monroe Falls Park, and some of those trails are just great. I just wish there was a way we could get some of this, you know, if we could actually put a nice base in some of these trails,
Mhm.
you know, especially Lions Community Park or wherever. I mean, just to, you know, how wide everything is, and just, you know, really, Cassie and I talked a bit about it.
Well, I walked up at Twinsburg this past weekend. They have a really nice boardwalk through their really wet areas. I mean, that could be another great project for Boy Scouts or community groups.
And we all know where the wet area is.
Yeah, I mean, the bridge is nice, but we could add to that and kind of have some of those. That might be a potential too.
Have you had any requests on any Eagle Scout projects?
I haven't, no. But I have a long list. If there's any Eagle Scouts out there, come contact me.
Okay.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to accept this future park site sign. We need a roll call vote on that.
Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Sue.
Yes.
You know what would be nice, Cassie, is to invite Dick Messner down there when they put the sign up and have him standing next to it.
I'm writing it down.
Just so people realize, I mean, how essentially he was in helping this township grow.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, if you let me know when you do that, because I'd like to try to make it. I'm sure some of the other
Yep.
board members would. And then I'd also like, once again, just trying to get community involved. It's a great Facebook Live event too, just for the community to see.
No.
Yep.
Very
And
good.
then my last item involving Messner Acres is I'm also looking at getting some property boundary markers to go around. Western Reserve Land Conservancy can also help with that, especially with the potential development of the property next door. I want to make sure that our property borders are defined because since this is a conservation area, we do have a duty to protect it from dumping, hunting, ATVs, that kind of stuff. So just want to make sure that people know that it is, and that's also the purpose of putting up this sign. I want to make sure everybody knows that it is park property and that it is protected land. So.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
All right. Thank you so much. Cemetery, we had one deed to sign. I reviewed and signed that. Did the rest of the board get a chance to see that?
Yes.
Okay, so it's done. So Portage County Health Department under our cemetery, there are some rules and regulations that were sent by the cemetery department. On May 27th, Jenny spoke with Kat at the Portage County Health Department regarding possible updated COVID guidelines for township cemeteries. Funerals, funeral homes, and directors were always exempt from the numbers of people permitted, but were not and are not exempt from social distancing of at least 6 feet. All and any businesses and employees may create additional mandatory guidelines regarding employees, clients, and customers' safety above what the state advises. Employers and business protocols cannot be less than the mandatory operating requirements set forth by the state. Cemeteries are not specifically addressed, but social distancing, it says here, is required of all businesses and places of business. Westland Cemetery is responsible for people maintaining social distancing. If that isn't possible, Westland Cemetery is required to create guidelines to enable the social distancing requirement. CAP believes that the only way for Westland or any other cemetery to enforce and enable social distancing during burials is to limit the number of people permitted, no more than 10, but less is preferable. Masks can also be required. So that is kind of the conversation that Jenny had. I had a follow-up conversation with the health department about this. So when it comes to this, we can make rules more stringent, but we need to get to what the true baseline rule is. And masks, while are great, and I think they're important for people, for our customer base, they're just recommended. And there's a major difference between mandatory or recommended. And so because of that, that's just something that we can talk about. We can add that to our rules, or we can just leave that up to the individuals to make their own decision. Now, for our employees that are working, they have to wear them. That's the state guideline. So if Dave's crew's out there and they're digging, and they're out next to each other, next to the public, they have to be wearing masks. Our employees do. But for the public, it is just recommended. Okay. And they also said that we could have more than 10 people there. Because I talked to the director, the manager over in the health department above CAP to talk about this. So I asked the question again, is there a requirement? And she goes, well, it's encouraged, it's recommended. And well, there's a difference between recommended and what the requirement is. Let's get to the baseline. Because I know that we do have a family that's looking at maybe 20 or 25 people that would want to be at a burial site. That's what started this conversation. Mm-hmm. So we can make the rules that strict if we wanted to, but I think we just tell people, especially when it comes to cemeteries, that they just need to exercise discretion.
Why don't they stay 6 feet apart?
Yeah, I mean, because you can easily have a family of 5, a husband, a wife, and 3 kids that come to this for their grandmother. That's half your population, but they don't have to be 6 feet apart because they're a family unit.
Yeah.
They all get to stand together. You still could encircle 5 family units around that.
I mean, we can put all the regulations we want, but it's common sense. I mean, there's enough information out there that people know what they should be doing.
Right, and I encourage people to make good decisions, but I also don't want to micromanage people, especially in their times of need like this. I mean, it's a funeral. Things are hard enough in the world as it is. to put unnecessary restraints there.
Put that kind of pressure on them when they're just trying to bury their loved one. It's tough.
Right. So we just wanted to get that information out on the table as a discussion in case anybody wanted to add anything to that.
No, I'm good. I'm gonna read through this again, but it's.
Yeah, and then attached in there are our cemetery guidelines, just about plantings at grave sites and requirements for those. Those rules and regulations are given when they purchase the grave site, and we do have those posted there.
Right.
And those are on file with the state of Ohio also, because we have to. All right, any other comments under cemetery?
No.
All right, fiscal office. You guys have a request?
Yes, for cash advances from the Portage County Auditor's Office.
All right, we need a motion for cash advance from the Portage County Auditor's Office.
So move.
All right, I will second that. And this is part of our normal process every year.
Yep.
Okay, any questions for this one? Okay, hearing none, roll call.
Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Sue.
Yes.
Anything else from the fiscal office?
Nope.
How are things going over there?
Great,
Great.
smoothly, yep.
All right, that's what we like to hear. Executive sessions, I have none on the agenda. Any department heads have an executive session they need today? All right, hearing none. We're the good of Brimfield Township. Anything, Sue?
Best place to be.
Best place to be, I like that. Mike, anything?
Good.
All right, hearing nothing else, we need a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So move.
I'll second.
All right, roll call.
Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes,
Sue.
Yes.
meeting adjourned at 8:47.